Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty and looked out at the empty space around them. The stars were beautiful, but he knew danger was coming soon. His ship looked old and broken from the outside. The hull had fake rust marks and patches that made it seem like a simple cargo ship. The engines made loud noises that sounded like they might break down any minute. Anyone who saw the Liberty would think it was just another weak human ship trying to survive in a dangerous galaxy. Jake had been planning this mission for 2 years. The Zephyrian Empire had been attacking human colonies and destroying their ships. The aliens thought humans were weak and stupid. They believed humans could not fight back against their powerful fleet. Admiral Kextar was the worst of them all. He had killed thousands of humans and bragged about it to other alien races. Today, that would change. Lisa Harper sat at the navigation station and watched her screens carefully. She was young but very smart. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tracked something in the distance. Lisa had grown up on a colony that the Zephyrians had attacked. Her family had died in that attack. Now she had a chance to make them pay for what they had done. She could see 12 large ships moving toward them. They were Zephyrian dreadnoughts, and they were huge. Each one was 10 times bigger than the Liberty. Ben Taylor worked in the engine room deep inside the ship. He was covered in grease and sweat, but he was smiling. The engines sounded terrible, but they were actually the most advanced engines humans had ever built. The quantum drive was ready and fully charged. It could do things that no alien race had ever seen before. Ben had helped design it himself. He had studied alien technology for years and made it better. The aliens thought they were so smart, but humans could learn faster than they imagined. Amy Foster stood at the weapons station and checked her systems one more time. All the screens showed green lights. The plasma cannons were hidden under fake hull plates. The missile launchers looked like cargo containers. The energy shields appeared to be broken, but they were actually stronger than anything the Zephyrians had. Amy had trained for this day since she was 18 years old. She was ready to show the aliens what human weapons could really do. The crew of the Liberty was small, but they were all experts. Every person on the ship had volunteered for this dangerous mission. They knew they might die, but they also knew this was their chance to save humanity. The Zephyrians had been hunting human ships for months. They captured some humans as slaves and killed the rest. The galaxy thought humans were finished as a spacefaring race. Jake walked around the bridge and spoke quietly to his crew. They had practiced this plan hundreds of times. Everyone knew exactly what to do. The ship's computer was recording everything that happened. If they died today, other humans would learn from their sacrifice. But Jake did not plan to die. He planned to win. Ryan Clark was in charge of ship security. He had 20 soldiers with him, but they were dressed like ordinary crew members. They carried hidden weapons and wore fake uniforms that made them look scared and helpless. Ryan had fought aliens before on other worlds. He knew how they thought and how they moved. The Zephyrians were strong and fast, but they were also proud and careless. That would be their weakness. Dr. Kate Wells was in the medical bay, but she was not just a doctor. She had been studying alien biology for years. She knew exactly how Zephyrian bodies worked and what could hurt them. She had discovered something important about their armor that no one else knew. Today, she would get to test her theories. Dan Miller sat at the communications station and listened to alien radio signals. The Zephyrians were talking to each other in their own language, but Dan could understand every word. He had learned to speak 12 different alien languages. The Zephyrians were excited about finding another human ship to destroy. They were making jokes about how weak humans were. Dan recorded everything they said. Soon, the galaxy would hear those words and know how wrong the Zephyrians had been. The Liberty continued to drift through space like a wounded animal. Jake had ordered the ship to send out fake distress signals that made them sound desperate and afraid. The engines coughed and sputtered but never quite stopped working. Smoke came from vents that were supposed to look damaged. Everything about the ship screamed that it was helpless and easy to capture. Lisa watched her screens as the Zephyrian fleet got closer. Admiral Kextar's flagship was in the center of the formation. It was a massive ship covered in weapons and armor. The alien admiral probably thought this would be another easy victory. He had no idea that 43 humans were about to change the course of galactic history. The trap was almost ready. Jake looked at his crew one more time and saw determination in their eyes. They had all lost friends and family to alien attacks. Today was their chance for justice. The Liberty might look like easy prey, but she was actually the most dangerous ship humans had ever built. Soon the Zephyrians would learn that appearances could be very deceiving when it came to the human race. The Zephyrian ships surrounded the Liberty like wolves around a wounded deer. Admiral Kekstar's voice came through the communication system with the usual arrogant tone that all humans had learned to hate. His words were translated by the ship's computer, but the meaning was clear enough. He wanted the humans to surrender and prepare to be boarded. He promised that some of them might live as slaves if they cooperated. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge and made his voice sound scared and desperate. He begged the Zephyrians to spare his crew and offered to give them anything they wanted. The alien admiral laughed at the pathetic human captain and told him to prepare for boarding. 20 Zephyrian soldiers would come aboard to secure the ship before the rest of the fleet moved in for the capture. Commander Vexilon led the boarding party from one of the smaller Zephyrian ships. He was tall and covered in natural armor that looked like gray metal. His 4 arms each held a different weapon, and his eyes glowed with a cruel red light. Vexilon had boarded dozens of human ships before, and he expected this to be just as easy as all the others. Humans always begged and cried when they saw Zephyrian warriors up close. The boarding tunnel connected to the Liberty's main airlock with a loud clang. Ryan Clark waited in the shadows with his security team. They were all dressed like frightened cargo workers and miners. Their weapons were hidden under loose clothing, and their faces showed fake terror. Ryan had trained his people well. They could look helpless while being ready to kill in an instant. The airlock opened, and Vexilon stepped through with his warriors behind him. The Zephyrians were huge compared to humans, and their weapons looked deadly. They moved with the confidence of a superior race that had never met real resistance from the weak humans. Vexilon looked around the cargo bay and saw exactly what he expected to see. Dozens of humans cowering behind boxes and containers like scared animals. Dr. Kate Wells was hidden among the fake civilians. She had spent months studying captured Zephyrian equipment, and she had found something very interesting. Their advanced armor had a weakness that even they did not know about. The life support systems could be disrupted by a specific frequency of electromagnetic pulse. She had built small devices that could generate this frequency, and her team was ready to use them. Vexilon pointed his weapons at the humans and began speaking in his own language. The translation came through speakers mounted on the walls. He told the humans they were now property of the Zephyrian Empire. He said the strong ones would work as slaves and the weak ones would be killed for sport. Some of the humans started crying and begging just like Vexilon expected them to do. But Ryan Clark was watching everything carefully. The Zephyrians had made their first mistake by entering the cargo bay all together. They thought the humans were too weak and stupid to fight back, so they had not spread out or taken defensive positions. Vexilon walked closer to examine his new slaves, and that was when Ryan gave the signal. The fake civilians suddenly moved with deadly purpose. Hidden weapons appeared in their hands, and the electromagnetic pulse devices activated all at once. The Zephyrian armor systems went crazy as their life support failed. The proud warriors found themselves gasping for air as their breathing apparatus stopped working properly. Amy Foster had been hiding behind a cargo container with a plasma rifle. She stood up and fired at Vexilon before he could react. The alien commander's shields flickered and died as the electromagnetic pulse hit his systems. The plasma bolt went right through his armor, and he fell to the floor with a look of complete shock on his face. The other Zephyrian warriors tried to fight back, but they were confused and their equipment was failing. Ryan Clark and his team moved like professional soldiers instead of scared civilians. They had trained for this exact situation, and they knew exactly where to hit the aliens to cause the most damage. The battle lasted less than 3 minutes. Dr. Kate Wells checked each fallen Zephyrian to make sure they were really dead. Her electromagnetic pulse weapons had worked even better than she had hoped. The alien technology was so advanced that it had become dependent on complex systems that could be easily disrupted if you knew what you were doing. Humans had learned to fight smart instead of just fighting hard. Dan Miller was recording everything that happened. The ship's cameras captured the entire battle from multiple angles. Soon, this footage would be broadcast across the galaxy to show every alien race what happened when someone underestimated human capabilities. The days of treating humans like helpless prey were about to end. Jake Morrison watched from the bridge as his crew eliminated the boarding party. He felt no joy in the killing, but he knew it was necessary. The Zephyrians had brought this on themselves by attacking innocent human colonies. Now they would learn that humans could be just as dangerous as any alien race when they were pushed too far. Admiral Kextar's voice came through the communication system again, but this time he sounded different. He had been watching the battle through his soldiers' helmet cameras until the signals cut out one by one. The alien admiral was starting to realize that something was very wrong with this situation. Humans were not supposed to be able to fight like professional warriors. Ben Taylor sent power to the hidden transmitters throughout the ship. Soon, every alien vessel in the area would receive the broadcast footage of their dead warriors. Jake wanted to make sure that Admiral Kextar and his entire fleet saw exactly what the humans had done to their boarding party. The psychological impact would be just as important as the physical victory. The cargo bay was now quiet, except for the sound of human boots walking among the dead aliens. Ryan Clark's team began stripping weapons and equipment from the fallen Zephyrians. Everything would be studied and reverse-engineered to make human technology even better. The aliens had made the mistake of bringing their best equipment onto a human ship, and now it belonged to humanity. Jake looked out at the Zephyrian fleet and smiled for the first time in months. The trap was working perfectly, and the aliens had no idea what was about to happen to them. The Liberty might still look like a helpless cargo ship from the outside, but Admiral Kextar was about to learn that appearances could be very deceiving when it came to human determination and ingenuity. Admiral Kextar stared at his screens in disbelief as the final camera signals from his boarding party went dark. 20 of his best warriors had just been killed by what he thought were helpless human civilians. His bridge crew looked nervous as they tried to understand what had just happened. Zephyrian soldiers were supposed to be superior to humans in every way possible. The alien admiral's pride was wounded more than his tactical position. He had bragged to other fleet commanders about how easy it was to capture human ships. Now his reputation was damaged, and he needed to fix the situation quickly. Kextar decided that the humans had just gotten lucky with some kind of trap. He would destroy the ship completely instead of trying to capture it. Jake Morrison watched the Zephyrian fleet change formation on his tactical display. The enemy ships were moving into attack positions and charging their main weapons. 12 massive dreadnoughts with enough firepower to destroy an entire city were about to focus all their energy on one small human cargo ship. Admiral Kextar was done playing games. Lisa Harper counted down the seconds until the attack would begin. Her hands were steady on the navigation controls, even though her heart was beating fast. She had lost her family to these same aliens, and now she had a chance to make them pay. The Liberty was about to show the galaxy what human engineering could really accomplish when it was not hiding behind a false appearance. The Zephyrian weapons fired all at once. Massive energy beams and plasma bolts streaked through space toward the Liberty. Each shot carried enough power to vaporize a normal ship instantly. Admiral Kextar expected to see the human vessel disappear in a brilliant explosion that would restore his honor and prove Zephyrian superiority once again. Jake gave the order that his crew had been waiting months to hear. He told them to show the aliens what they really were. Ben Taylor hit the controls that would drop the false hull plating and reveal the Liberty's true nature. Explosive bolts fired all around the ship as fake metal panels blew away like confetti. The Zephyrian weapons hit their target, but something impossible happened. Instead of destroying the human ship, the energy beams simply vanished into nothing. Lieutenant Commander Joe Brooks had activated the quantum shielding system that made the Liberty invulnerable to conventional weapons. The alien attack had been absorbed into pocket dimensions where it could do no harm. What emerged from the cloud of debris was not a broken cargo hauler, but a sleek warship covered in advanced armor and bristling with hidden weapons. The Liberty's true hull gleamed like polished silver, and her engines burned with blue fire that was brighter than any star. Amy Foster's weapon systems came online and revealed plasma cannons that were larger and more powerful than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. Admiral Kextar's bridge crew started shouting in their own language as they realized what they were facing. The humans had not just gotten lucky with a simple trap. They had built a warship that was more advanced than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. The aliens suddenly understood that they were not dealing with primitive refugees, but with a race that had been preparing for war. The Liberty accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible for a ship of her size. Lisa Harper guided her through the Zephyrian formation, like she was dancing between raindrops. The massive alien dreadnoughts tried to track her movement, but they were too slow and clumsy compared to the human vessel. Their weapons fired at empty space, while the Liberty moved like lightning. Amy Foster opened fire with the hidden plasma cannons, and the results were devastating. The first Zephyrian ship lost its shields instantly and began breaking apart as human weapons tore through armor that was supposed to be indestructible. The alien crew had no time to send distress signals before their ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. Sergeant First Class Tony Garcia launched the surprise attack from inside the Liberty herself. What had appeared to be cargo bays suddenly opened to reveal dozens of small attack craft. Human Marines in advanced combat suits poured out of the hidden launch tubes like angry wasps defending their hive. Each small ship was fast and deadly, and equipped with weapons designed specifically to fight alien technology. The Marine assault craft targeted the engines and weapons systems of the Zephyrian dreadnoughts. Tony had studied alien ship designs for years, and he knew exactly where to hit them for maximum damage. His pilots were the best humanity had trained, and they flew their ships with a skill that amazed even their enemies. The aliens watched in horror as their mighty fleet was picked apart by tiny human fighters. Megan Price coordinated the tactical assault from her position on the Liberty's bridge. She had planned this battle down to the smallest detail, and everything was going exactly as she had hoped. The Zephyrians were fighting like they always did, with brute force and superior numbers. But humans had learned to fight with intelligence and creativity that no alien race could match. A second Zephyrian dreadnought exploded as human fighters overwhelmed its defenses. The alien crew tried to ram the Liberty in desperation, but Joe Brooks simply phased the ship out of normal space. The massive dreadnought passed right through empty air, while the Liberty reappeared behind it to deliver a killing blow with her main guns. Admiral Kextar finally understood that he was not fighting weak human refugees. He was fighting the most dangerous enemy the Zephyrian Empire had ever encountered. These humans had been hiding their true capabilities for years, while they studied alien technology and improved upon it. They had let the galaxy think they were helpless while they prepared for exactly this kind of battle. A third dreadnought died as its reactor was overloaded by human weapons that seemed to ignore every law of physics the aliens thought they understood. Ben Taylor's quantum drive technology was working perfectly, and the Liberty continued to phase in and out of reality like a ghost ship. The Zephyrians could not fight an enemy that could simply disappear whenever they tried to hit it. The tide of battle had turned completely. What started as 12 alien dreadnoughts hunting one human cargo ship had become a massacre of superior forces by an enemy they had foolishly underestimated. Admiral Kextar looked at his tactical display and realized that more than half his fleet was already gone. The humans were not just winning the battle, they were destroying everything he had built during years of conquest. Jake Morrison smiled as he watched the Zephyrian formation fall apart. The aliens were starting to panic as they realized their technology was not as advanced as they had believed. Human ingenuity had taken their own weapons and made them better. Today, the galaxy would learn that humanity was no longer prey for alien hunters, but had become the most dangerous predator in space. The battle raged around the Liberty as she continued to dance between the massive Zephyrian dreadnoughts like a deadly ballerina. Amy Foster was amazed at how well their weapons were working against alien shields that were supposed to be impenetrable. Human scientists had been studying captured Zephyrian technology for years, and they had found ways to improve it that the original creators never imagined possible. Ben Taylor watched his quantum drive readings with satisfaction. The aliens thought they understood physics, but humans had discovered things about space and time that would blow their minds. The Liberty could phase in and out of normal reality at will. She could appear behind enemy ships for surprise attacks and then vanish before they could respond. The Zephyrians were fighting an enemy that could ignore the basic rules of space combat. Dr. Kate Wells launched her cyber warfare attack from the medical bay. She had learned to interface human computer systems with alien networks in ways that should have been impossible. The Zephyrian ships used biological components in their computers, and Kate had found a way to hack directly into their nervous systems. One by one, the enemy vessels began to go silent as their crews were paralyzed by their own technology. The fourth Zephyrian dreadnought suddenly stopped firing and began drifting helplessly through space. Its crew was alive, but they could not move or speak because their ship's computer had been turned against them. Kate's virus was spreading through their biological neural networks like a disease that attacked the connection between mind and body. Admiral Kextar watched in horror as another of his ships fell victim to some kind of human weapon that he could not understand. The aliens had always believed they were superior because their technology was more advanced than anything humans possessed. Now they were learning that human creativity and adaptability could take any technology and make it into something completely new and deadly. Jake Morrison looked at his tactical display and saw that the battle was going even better than he had hoped. But the real surprise was still coming. 3 more human ships were moving into position around the battlefield. They had been hiding in the shadow of a nearby asteroid field with their engines cold and their signals masked. The Liberty had not been alone after all. Lisa Harper received the signal she had been waiting for. Her mother, Admiral Helen Brooks, was commanding the hidden human fleet from her flagship, the UES Defiance. The plan had always been to let the Zephyrians think they were attacking one helpless cargo ship while actually walking into a trap that had been months in the planning. The UES Courage decloaked first. She was twice the size of the Liberty and armed with weapons that human engineers had built specifically to fight alien warships. Captain Bill Murphy had volunteered for this mission because his brother had died in a Zephyrian attack on the mining colony where he worked. Today was payback time for all the humans who had suffered under alien oppression. The UES Honor appeared next, with Captain Nancy White at the helm. She had been a merchant captain before the aliens started attacking human cargo ships. Now she commanded a warship that looked like a cargo hauler but carried enough firepower to level a small moon. The Zephyrians had taught humans that sometimes you had to fight fire with fire. The UES Justice completed the formation under Captain Steve Davis. His ship was the newest and most experimental of the human fleet. It carried weapons that used principles of physics that even human scientists did not fully understand yet. Sometimes the best way to fight superior technology was with technology that was so advanced it seemed like magic. Admiral Kextar stared at his screens as 4 human warships surrounded his remaining fleet. Each one was disguised to look like a harmless cargo vessel, but now their true nature was revealed. The humans had been planning this battle for months and using the galaxy's contempt for their species as the perfect cover for their preparations. The Zephyrian fleet was now outnumbered and outgunned by an enemy they had thought was weak and primitive. Half of Kextar's dreadnoughts were already destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships were scattered, and their crews were panicking as they realized they were fighting for their lives against opponents who were smarter and better prepared than anyone had imagined. Amy Foster coordinated her weapons with the other human ships and unleashed a barrage that lit up space like a new star being born. The Liberty's plasma cannons fired in perfect sync with the guns of her sister ships. Each shot was aimed at a specific weak point that human intelligence had identified through years of careful study. 2 more Zephyrian dreadnoughts exploded, simultaneously as the human attack overwhelmed their defenses. The alien ships had been designed to fight enemies who used conventional tactics and weapons. They had no answer for human creativity that turned their own strengths into weaknesses. Ben Taylor's quantum drive allowed the Liberty to coordinate perfectly with the other human ships, even though they were spread across thousands of kilometers of space. Quantum entanglement meant that all 4 captains could communicate instantly and plan their attacks in real time. The Zephyrians were fighting an enemy that could think and act as one unified force. Tony Garcia's marine fighters had been joined by similar craft from the other human ships. Hundreds of small attack vessels now swarmed around the remaining Zephyrian dreadnoughts like wolves bringing down giant prey. Each pilot was an expert who had trained specifically to fight alien technology with human tactics. Dr. Kate Wells expanded her cyber attack to target the entire Zephyrian fleet. Her virus was spreading from ship to ship through their communication networks. The aliens had connected their vessels together to coordinate their attacks, but that same connection now allowed the human weapon to infect their entire force. The 7th Zephyrian dreadnought went silent as its crew was paralyzed by their own computer systems. Kate's virus was learning and adapting as it spread. Each infected ship made the weapon smarter and more effective against the remaining targets. Human artificial intelligence was proving to be far more creative than alien biological computers. Admiral Kextar realized that his fleet was doomed. The humans had not just surprised him with superior technology, they had surprised him with superior strategy and tactics that showed a level of planning and coordination that he had never expected from a race he thought was primitive and disorganized. Jake Morrison opened a communication channel to the Zephyrian Admiral. His voice was calm and professional as he offered Kextar a choice. The alien could surrender his remaining ships and live to warn others about human capabilities, or he could continue fighting and watch his entire fleet die for the sake of pride. The battle was almost over, and the humans had won a victory that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. The aliens who had thought they were hunting easy prey had instead walked into a trap that showed them just how dangerous the human race could be when they were pushed too far and given time to prepare their response. Admiral Kextar looked at the tactical display showing the remains of his once mighty fleet. Only his flagship and 2 other damaged dreadnoughts remained operational. 8 of his most powerful warships had been destroyed or disabled by an enemy he had thought was helpless cargo haulers. His bridge crew waited in silence for orders that he was not sure how to give. The human ships had formed a perfect circle around the surviving Zephyrian vessels. Their weapons were still charged and ready to fire, but they were waiting for his response to Captain Morrison's offer. Kextar had spent his entire military career believing that aliens were superior to humans in every way that mattered. Today had shattered those beliefs completely. Jake Morrison waited patiently for the Zephyrian Admiral to make his choice. The Liberty floated in space like a silver arrow pointed at the heart of the enemy flagship. Her weapons could destroy Kextar's ship in seconds, but Jake wanted the alien to survive. A dead enemy could not spread the word about what had happened here today. Admiral Helen Brooks arrived with the main human fleet just as Jake had known she would. Her ships dropped out of quantum space in perfect formation and took positions around the battlefield. The Zephyrians found themselves surrounded by dozens of human warships that had appeared out of nowhere, like ghosts materializing in the darkness. Helen was Joe Brooks' mother, and she had been planning this operation since her son first proposed the idea of using disguised ships as bait. The human fleet had been hidden in quantum space, where alien sensors could not detect them. Now they revealed the true scope of human military preparation that had been hidden from the galaxy for years. Admiral Kextar realized that he had been fighting just the advance guard of a much larger human force. The ships surrounding him now were not disguised cargo haulers, but obvious warships built for one purpose. Humanity had been secretly building a navy while the rest of the galaxy dismissed them as weak refugees fleeing their homeworld. The alien admiral activated his communication system and spoke directly to Jake Morrison. His voice had lost all of its earlier arrogance and cruelty. Kextar knew that his military career was over and probably his life as well. The Zephyrian Empire did not forgive failure, especially failure on this scale. Jake listened as the alien admiral formally surrendered his remaining ships and requested terms for the survival of his crews. Kextar's pride had been completely broken by the realization that everything he thought he knew about human capabilities was wrong. The weak prey had turned out to be the most dangerous predator in the galaxy. Dr. Kate Wells monitored the Zephyrian communication networks as word of the battle spread across alien space. Every race in the local sector was receiving broadcasts about the human victory. The footage of Zephyrian dreadnoughts being destroyed by disguised cargo ships was being transmitted on every frequency that alien civilizations used. The psychological impact was exactly what Jake had hoped for. Other alien races who had been planning attacks on human colonies were suddenly reconsidering their strategies. If the mighty Zephyrian Empire could be defeated so completely, then maybe humans were not the easy targets they appeared to be. Admiral Helen Brooks took command of the situation and began coordinating the aftermath of the battle. The surviving Zephyrian crews would be treated well according to human military law. Their ships would be studied and reverse-engineered to make human technology even more advanced. Every piece of alien equipment was a learning opportunity. Ben Taylor was already analyzing the quantum signatures of the destroyed Zephyrian vessels. Human scientists would use this data to improve their own weapons and defenses. The aliens had unwittingly provided humans with a complete database of their most advanced military technology by bringing it into battle against them. Tony Garcia's Marines began boarding the surrendered alien ships to secure them and treat any wounded crew members. The humans followed strict rules of war that required them to care for prisoners and civilians. This was another way they differed from aliens like the Zephyrians who killed for sport. Lisa Harper plotted courses for the captured ships to be taken to human space where they could be properly studied. The intelligence gathered from this battle would help humanity prepare for future conflicts with other alien races. Every piece of data was valuable in the struggle for survival in a hostile galaxy. Admiral Kextar was brought aboard the Liberty under guard, but he was treated with respect, as a defeated enemy rather than cruelty. Jake Morrison met with him personally to explain what had happened and why. The human captain wanted the alien to understand that this was not random violence, but justice for years of attacks on innocent human civilians. Kextar listened as Jake told him about the human colonies that had been destroyed and the families that had been killed or enslaved by Zephyrian forces. The alien admiral began to realize that he was not just facing military defeat, but moral judgment for crimes that he had never considered to be crimes at all. The broadcast of Admiral Kextar's surrender went out across the galaxy on every communication frequency that humans could access. Dan Miller made sure that every alien civilization would see the proud Zephyrian admiral admitting defeat to a species that most of them considered primitive and worthless. Jake Morrison addressed the surviving Zephyrians with words that would be remembered throughout the galaxy. He told them that humans had been patient with alien aggression, but that patience had limits. The galaxy had mistaken human diplomacy for weakness and human restraint for fear. Those days were now over. Dr. Kate Wells added her own message to the broadcast. She explained that human science had surpassed alien technology in many areas because humans were willing to learn and adapt while aliens relied on old knowledge. The student had become the teacher, and the galaxy would have to accept this new reality. The aftermath of the battle showed the true scope of human preparation. Admiral Helen Brooks revealed that dozens of disguised warships had been deployed throughout human space. The entire strategy of appearing weak while building strength had been carefully planned and executed over many years. Other alien races began sending diplomatic messages to human space for the first time in decades. Species that had ignored or threatened humanity were suddenly interested in establishing peaceful relationships. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and everyone knew it. Admiral Kextar was eventually released to return to Zephyrian space with the survivors of his fleet. His mission was to warn his government and all other alien civilizations about what he had learned. Humans were no longer the weak prey that could be hunted for sport. They had become the most dangerous predator in the galaxy. The Liberty and her sister ships returned to human space as heroes who had changed the course of galactic history. Their victory had proven that human ingenuity and determination could overcome any technological advantage. The age of alien dominance was ending, and the age of human expansion was about to begin. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating the children of Earth.